Okay, I'm going to explain 7 strum patterns that are really common in guitar. The first one I'm going to start with is eighth notes. And I'm just going to play an A chord because it's an easy chord to play and to start with. So I'm going to try to play 5 strings down, and I'm going to play eighth notes. Now I'm going to play them very swingy, so I'll explain a straight eighth notes in a second versus swing eighth notes. But here's a swing eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's pattern number 1. Now in pattern 1 you can also play straight eighth notes. Your arm's going to be more elongated, longer distance. Swing eighth notes, the hand is shortened, or the actual eighth notes are closer together in time. So I'm going to play straight eighth notes. It's going to sound very more robotic. They sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And now I'm going to go back to the swing eighth notes, which is more common in the songs than straight. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, now we're going to try pattern 2. Pattern 2, you're going to use, we could stick with the A chord if we want, or the E minor. I'm going to go to E minor, just to make it easier for most students when they're learning. I'm going to play eighth notes just like pattern 1, but after 1 and I'm going to mute with my left hand. So I have to do a left hand mute. I got to keep my fingers very straight, no knuckles bent like this, very straight, barely touching the strings. You get this sound. Do that. That's really important. So I'm going to play eighth notes. I'm going to play straight eighth notes this time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, now we're going to do pattern 3. This is where you got to use your right hand to do a right hand mute. So when I do that right hand mute, make sure your fingers are open like an A-OK symbol. And as you're falling on the downbeat, the pinky, the side of this pinky, is what's actually dampening everything. So you get this sound. Now I'm going to play E minor on this one too. And I'm going to go 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And make sure when you do this that you try to aim for the top string, the 6th string, when you fall. You don't want to fall too low, because if this hand falls too low, you're going to get ring like that. So try to always aim for the top string so that your hand's going to land right there. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 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 So that's pattern 3. Now I'm going to play a D chord, and we're going to do pattern 4. Pattern 4 is typically in slow songs. The rhythm's going to be this. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. This is all your Pink Floyd music is like pattern 4. A lot of their songs are this. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. So that's typically in slow songs. So that's your D. Now let's go to pattern 5. In pattern 5, I'm going to play, let's do a different chord. Let's do A minor. Pattern 5 is the most common pattern I play at any gig, or if you watch any guitar player, they're playing this pattern the most often because it's the most common. It lines up exactly right with what the drums are doing as far as the accents of the kick drum and the snare beat. So pattern 5 is a little bit hard because you're going to drop a downbeat. You're actually going to drop your hand but not play. So that's usually hard for students, but it's a good pattern. So I'm going to do A minor. 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and 1, students have trouble with is this one. But what's happening is beat 3 becomes the rest. So I'm going 1, 2, and this is beat 3, but it's a rest, so you don't actually count the rest. You only count physically what you're playing. 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and. Okay, let's do pattern 5. I'm going to play a D chord for pattern 5. Pattern 5, you're doing exactly what I just did on pattern. I'm going to do pattern 6. Pattern 5 and 6 are the same rhythm, but pattern 6, we're adding a mute with our right hand. So it's going to sound like this. 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4. And we'll play it here so you can hear what it sounds like better. 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and. So it's the same as pattern 5. 1, 2, and 4, and it's the same. The only thing that's different on beat 2, you're hearing this. You're actually not hearing the chord, you're hearing the hand fall on the downbeat of 2 and 4, which is, you're emulating the snare beat on a recording. So like if I was doing this, I'll stay on D for a second. So you're adding, what you're really doing is you're adding the backbeat. So that's 6. 6 and 5 are both hard for most beginners. But it's imperative that you get those down because they're so common. The last pattern is pattern 7, which is, I'm going to play an E chord for this song, or this pattern. 7 is really close to pattern 5. It's instead of going like 1, 2, and 4, and like pattern 5, 7 does this. It adds an extra 8th note, which is coming up on the upbeat. It does this. 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. Let's do a good job in singing. 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and. Now I played very straight 8th notes there. I can also swing the 8th notes. So I'm going to play that as an A minor. Still staying with pattern 7, but I'm not going to play straight like 1 and 2 and 4. That was very straight. So I'm going to play A minor, but I'm going to play swung 8th notes. So it sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 4 and 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 1 and 2. Down 1 and 2 and 4 and my hand is shortened when I'm playing this. 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and I slow it down more. 1 and 2